Right now, microscopic scaffold structures shape every single thought you have. Forget pure chemistry for a moment. We need to talk architecture. Your brain isn't just a collection of electrical signals bouncing around in fluid. It operates with an incredibly detailed physical framework, a sort of biological girder system built from the extracellular matrix. This scaffolding, made up of proteins like fibronectin and collagen, is not passive filler. Its nanoscale topography actively dictates where your neural pathways grow, influencing how deeply a connection forms between two neurons. Think about it. If the structural ground beneath them changes, their conversations change completely. That physical constraint isn't just supporting life, it's organizing consciousness itself. But how does this scaffolding actually speak to your brain's most specialized workers? It's not just about the principal signal wires, the axons themselves. We also have these critical support units, the glial cells. They are essentially the maintenance crew, the biological engineers running alongside every pathway. The structure of that surrounding matrix determines exactly how effectively neurons and glia communicate through physical contact points. Imagine a highly specialized bridge where slight changes in the foundation can either allow perfect traffic flow or cause complete structural failure for critical data transfer. This crosstalk, the constant negotiation between neuron and supportive cell, dictated by ECM geometry, is what fundamentally shapes sensory integration itself. But this structural organization isn't just optimizing signal speed, it's driving pattern formation itself. When you put physical limitations, the tension fields provided by that matrix scaffolding we discussed earlier, into an incredibly complex system like cortical tissue, something remarkable happens. The network starts self-organizing. It doesn't follow preset instructions perfectly. Instead, it generates non-linear patterns of activity. Think of it less like a clockwork mechanism and more like water finding its path through porous rock. The physical container dictates the flow in unpredictable yet elegant ways. This translates directly to models where structural biomechanics are not just supportive background noise, they become active participants shaping altered states of consciousness, which means something nobody expected for how deeply our environment shapes what we even perceive as self. But here's where everything becomes terrifyingly precise. If the scaffolding dictates pattern, it also dictates perfect timing. It controls not just what connection fires, but exactly when and how fast. The geometry of your matrix isn't loosely organizing activity, it's building ultra-precise biological highways that dictate signal conduction velocity across entire networks. This level of structural modulation allows for network synchrony unlike anything previously modeled in purely chemical terms. It means the architecture is a timing mechanism. If we map this relationship, our understanding shifts from cognition as an emergent property to consciousness as a finely tuned physical resonance chamber. However, there are still purists out there who claim that all signal integrity relies solely on molecular chemistry and dismiss structural physics entirely. They believe the matrix simply offers negligible support compared to protein dynamics. Who is right? We need to know what this structure can do next. Forget internal synchrony for a moment and look outward. What if your brain isn't just receiving reality? What if it is actively shaping how you perceive it from the start? The physical architecture acts like an ultimate selective filter, a complex prism translating massive amounts of environmental input down to meaningful subjective experience. Components within that scaffolding, structures rich in specialized glycoproteins, are not merely organizing wiring, but stabilizing higher cortical connectivity patterns across vast distances. This means the structural mechanics aren't just influencing your thought processes, they dictate which signals even survive the journey from the world outside into your awareness. You might feel like you are making a choice right now. That is an illusion governed by these pre-existing physical biases. If structure determines perception, does free will still exist at all?
But here is the ultimate implication, a finding we didn't expect when we started talking about protein folds. If these physical constraints dictate such precise patterns of activity across your entire cortical map, if they govern how you perceive choice itself, we must ask what is dictating the architecture at its highest level. It suggests that biological function isn't merely an independent chemical process happening inside a skull, but something resonant with broader organizational principles. Think of it like complex radio reception. These intricate neural geometries might not be generating their own song. They could simply be providing the perfect receiver to channel information from an immensely larger source field, a foundational informational architecture existing outside conventional physics. It realize that the rules governing your synaptic plasticity aren't just local instructions, but echo patterns of something universal and absolute. If our physical forms are designed for this resonance, then what does that mean about where human consciousness truly resides?
The final synthesis cuts through the debate between pure chemistry and absolute determinism. We are not observing a mechanism that merely generates thought, nor are we trapped within a pre-written script. Rather, you are inhabiting an infinitely adaptive informational system constrained by exquisitely designed biological physics. This means your capacity for nonlinear cognition is not limited by molecular signaling alone, but by the sheer elegance of its physical scaffolding itself, a constant feedback loop between local structure and cosmic patterning. The takeaway isn't a pill or a trick, it's an observation. Recognize that internal complexity mirrors external order. Stop viewing yourself as a passive observer waiting for input and start seeing your own biological form as a participant in the universal geometry of information exchange. This shift from mechanism to participatory resonance is where true cognitive evolution begins. We have walked this path from nanoscale topography to cosmic architecture. Now you know how deeply design governs destiny. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. This realization demands more than acceptance. It requires a complete change in operational awareness. If your brain functions as a finely tuned instrument calibrated by universal design principles, then understanding that calibration gives you agency over the resonance itself. You move from being merely a biological machine operating within limits to becoming an architect capable of influencing those patterns at their foundation. This is not about brute force or mere chemical manipulation. It is about recognizing and aligning with the system's innate logic, the deepest rules governing cellular pattern formation, glia-neuronal crosstalk, and cortical synchronization itself. It means that true cognitive evolution lies in tuning into this structural language, leveraging inherent biological constraints to achieve non-linear states of being previously thought unattainable by human will alone. You now possess a map of the mind's ultimate blueprint. How do you use it? The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com.